All right, you see this? This was this morning's script. I was prepared to go on at 8 o'clock today, and instead Joseph Noteboom changed the world for us. Who cares about Tom Brady? Who cares about Amari Cooper? It's all about Joseph Noteboom and Brian Allen and the Rams. This is RamView, and I'm Joe Tarosian, and it is Monday, March 14th. It is Pie Day, so go get yourself some pie. And think about what your Rams have done today. The Rams have made some nice moves, and it's also given us indication about the future of some pretty prominent players. I was about to go on at 8 o'clock this morning and talk about how Tom Brady is back and then lead into a segue about what the Rams could do along their offensive line. Continue my daily plea with Andrew Whitworth to give us an answer about his future. And then I got distracted at 8 o'clock, had a couple things I had to do, thought I'd come back a little bit later. And as I was going to come back about 9 o'clock this morning, Joseph Noteboom, the news broke that Joseph Noteboom signed a 3-year extension, contract for 47.5 rocks a year. That's over $15 million a year that Joseph Noteboom signed for. And as the announcement of his signing came across, there was not the announcement is that Andrew Whitworth is likely going to retire. They're not going to pay Noteboom 15 rocks to sit on the bench and then Whitworth 16. They're not going to tie up $31 million in the left tackle position. So it's pretty obvious Whitworth is moving on. And then just about 30 minutes ago, Brian Allen signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Rams, and it pays him about 8 rocks a year. And so the Rams have really solidified that offensive line. The only thing hanging up in the air right now is Austin Corbett. Guards are getting some good dough right now. So it'll be interesting to see where Corbett plays in terms of where he lands in terms of free agency. But the Rams have solidified this. This is a really good deal. And it's great to see. The money itself, speaking when you think of the Rams and how Rams management is run, this is the blessing of being a Rams fan in this era, is that you know what they're doing, is that they know what they're doing. And so they've extended Joseph Noteboom and Brian Allen. Likely Noteboom will be most likely the starting left tackle this year. Brian Allen came back a little bit more than what his market value was. I think his market value was 6. Austin Corbett's is 8. The Rams got him for that. Ryan Jensen going back. There was a talk that Ryan Jensen was going to sign in Pittsburgh, the Tampa Bay center, but he went back to Tampa Bay for 3 years at $39 million. And so that market was getting tight because there were going to be other centers available on the market for teams that needed them. And so it's good to see the Rams signed Allen and got it taken care of. The one thing, again, you have to ask yourself in return is that, is he going to be stronger? Is Austin Corbett, if he returns, is he going to be stronger? Is Dave Edwards going to be stronger? Because while it did a solid job and the Rams won a Super Bowl, the one thing you have to think about is short yardage and every half inch that you had to get on a 4th and 1 was really an adventure. You didn't want to see the Rams in short yardage this postseason because it was nervous when you had to see the Rams at short yardage. So getting back to the topic, and we'll get back to some of this Rams stuff because a lot of stuff is kind of blown off the radar with all the signings, some of the stuff I was going to talk about today. It was just really interesting because the MLB comes back from its lockout, right? Offseason has just begun. Players are getting signed. Fernando Tatis hurts his wrist. Freddie Freeman's on the block. Everyone's excited. Kershaw re-signs with the Rams. Got a great column up at joetarosian.com, the Arena Express, that breaks down some of this. But just as you're starting to talk baseball, Tom Brady is back, right? March Madness is in the midst of its Selection Sunday, right? Tom Brady's coming back. The NBA is going into its playoff drive, right? Tom Brady is back. And even if we're not interested in the NBA, no matter how many times everyone tries to make us interested in the NBA, we're not interested in the NBA. In the abstract, the NBA doesn't run this thing, but the NBA is obviously hoping it'll generate some nostalgia. So the geniuses of basketball are hoping something's going to happen here. And HBO produces Showtime, the Lakers, the drama, not the documentary, the drama on the Lakers' rise to dominance in the 80s. And they don't have a clue with what they're doing. You can't be a legitimate Laker fan and like anything you're seeing in that. It's interesting to some degree, but they're so desperate that they got to show us John C. McKinley's butt in episode 1, right? They're so desperate that they got to show us an insane, insecure version of Jerry West having sex with a stranger to open episode 2. But all that goes away because Tom Brady is back. It shows how desperate the rest of the other leagues and groups are because the NFL runs the show. I mean, I've never seen it like this before. They have literally not been off the front page, if indeed there was a front page, or top of the queue, even since the Super Bowl ended. They were smart to play the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl because the Pro Bowl is a buzzkill. I hate the Pro Bowl. But everything since the Super Bowl has been, except for maybe a 2 or 3 day stretch that they tried to call silly season, but it's not because you got your scouting combines, you got your Senior Bowl stuff, you got so many things taking place in the NFL. And now we're at March 14th, and the official season of 2022 begins in 2 days, but teams can now openly court other players. So it's fascinating. So Tom Brady is back, and I think it's great. I like Brady. I love watching Brady. But now to me with Brady, it just seems like there's a little bit of a pause. There's a little bit of a hesitation because he retired, he stepped away, and now he's coming back. And that's just a different look for him, right? Because he's usually pretty decisive. And so I'm not too worried about what Brady's going to do. The Rams, remember, are 3-0 against Brady in a Tampa uniform. So this great offseason for the Rams has also been a fantastic offseason for the NFL as it just keeps on trucking. And like I said, the technically the new season hasn't even begun for 2 days. Brady coming back to Tampa Bay, likely, possibly brings Rob Gronkowski back to the Bucs as well. I mentioned Ryan Jensen re-signing. My friend, loyal RamView follower, Rob Sorge, he's a big Steeler fan out in Missouri, was salivating at the idea of Jensen coming to Pitt. And turns out he stays in Tampa because Tom's coming back. I wonder if Ali Marpet will reconsider his retirement, considering that Tom's coming back. But hey, Pittsburgh, they got Mitchell Trubisky today. That's exciting, right? I guess. Okay. And such. And so the Cowboys moved Amari Cooper in the final 3 years of his 60 Rocks on his contract, and a 6th-round pick to Cleveland for a 5th and 6th-round pick. They also signed Michael Gallup to a 5-year, $62 million contract. And there was news today, just before I came on, that the Browns are releasing Landry, the receiver, and so that'll be interesting to see how things play out in Cleveland. But it is kind of they did want to give a receiver to Baker Mayfield, and now of course rumors are abounding that maybe the Cooper move wasn't about giving Baker Mayfield a receiver. The Browns are heavy in on acquiring Deshaun Watson. As are the Saints are interested. Maybe the Panthers are interested. Maybe Seattle's interested in acquiring Deshaun Watson. And all I could say in regards to Deshaun Watson is, okay, forget the legal stuff that he was just cleared of and whatever all that was. Remember this. This is the order in which it happened. DeAndre Hopkins was traded, and then Deshaun Watson signed his monster deal with the Houston Texans. DeAndre Hopkins was traded, and then Deshaun Watson signed his monster deal with the Texans, and only after then did he want to be traded after that. I think he finished 4-12 in 2020. I don't think the Texans were much better this year, 4-12, right? And I don't know. I'm not sold on Watson. There was a time there where I really liked him. But I have to question. The maturity of somebody that sees his receiver traded, signs a long-term contract, and then decides he wants to be traded after signing that long-term contract. He never should have signed it. And so, yeah, I don't think I'd mortgage my franchise for him. I know the whole thing is blank them picks, but you got to blank them picks for something that matters. A Russell Wilson, a Matthew Stafford. I don't know if I'd say blank those picks and give up the farm for a guy that I don't even know what he wants. I don't. And then there is some questions about his character. Sticking to the NFC West, the Cardinals re-signed Zach Ertz to a 3-year contract. I think he's getting something like 10 a year. But the Cardinals still got Chase Edmonds, James Conner, Chandler Jones is going to walk. They released Jordan Hicks. AJ Green's going to be gone. And then they're dealing with Kyler Murray. So not too worried there. We'll get into Seattle and San Francisco on another day. Famous name here that I like to remember is Devin McCourty. He was on the free agent list here. He signed a 1-year deal to come back to the Patriots, 1 year for 9 rocks. Free agents in the street that were just recently put in the street. Of course, Bobby Wagner is still out there. Greg Zuerlein, former Ram. Blake Jarwin, a guy that was the starting tight end for the Cowboys. But I think one of the things everyone forgets about what a tight end does is a tight end has to block. And Blake Jarwin's not a very good blocker. If you look at the Rams, I think one of the things the Rams were missing down the stretch last year in the playoffs was they were missing that blocking of Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee, he's not elite, but he gets the job done. And that is why Kendall Blanton was probably still on the roster because he can block. And it's another reason why a 7th-round pick like Ben Skoranek finds room on the field on a Super Bowl team is because, he doesn't have the best hands, but the dude can block. Some other names that were familiar were Carlos Hyde. Of course, I mentioned Jordan Hicks and Roger Saffold. People were talking last week, and I remember I said I don't want anything to do with Roger Saffold. Roger Saffold is reportedly going to be signing with the Buffalo Bills after the Titans have released him. This other item in my thing here was latest first-round projections for quarterbacks. Of course, this is out the window. Lance Zierlein is a pretty good draft guru, high-end draft guru. Has Seattle taking Malik Willis, number 9 out of Liberty, which makes sense if you're Seattle. I'd rather dance with Willis than run the risk of Deshaun Watson. I know as a Ram fan, we want Seattle to crash and burn, but it's just how you observe it. Zierlein had the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Kenny Pickett out of Pitt, number 20 overall. But with the deal to sign Mitchell Trubisky to a 2-year contract, you have to wonder that Pickett's going to end up someplace else. Another thing I had broken down was where those Ram free agents lined up in the NFL Network's top 100 free agents. Von Miller at one point was listed as number 4, OBJ at number 11. Joseph Noteboom, and this is why it's so great to see the Rams sign him, and 15 is reasonable. The Rams signed Joseph Noteboom for 15 a year, and he was ranked number 26th overall for a guy that's not had a lot of playing time, but it's how esteemed he was by the rest of the league that he was the number 26 ranked free agent, according to NFL Network. And the other nice thing about that, even though Noteboom was drafted in 2018, he's waited all these years to get his shot to play because Andrew Whitworth exceeded expectation, put him in the Ring of Honor immediately. But Noteboom, now that he's secure for 3 years, probably could end up, if he trends the way he's trending, he could literally end up being that anchor of our offensive line and sign another contract with the Rams because given his age and also given the lack of wear and tear on his body since joining the Rams. Whitworth's absorbing all those blows. Noteboom's been spotting him. So Noteboom is fresh. He's been well-trained. The Rams have had great offensive line coaches. They developed offensive linemen, and he's been learning under the Yoda, although a little bit bigger Yoda, of left tackles in Andrew Whitworth. So very excited about Noteboom coming back. Last thought on Andrew Whitworth is stay in shape, bro. Stay in shape and do the Weddle thing. Stay healthy so when somebody breaks down in late November, December, early January, you can come back and fill in for them. You know the system. Stay local. I have to believe this. He's our next Eric Weddle if there's an injury. Keep an eye on Andrew Whitworth. Even if he does retire, possibly you could see him again if there's injuries late in this coming season. The number 40th ranked overall free agent is Darius Williams, and we know where that's trending. It doesn't look too good for Rams to bring him back. Number 70 is Sebastian Joseph Day, Seabass, and there's a good chance you're going to lose him too. Number 99 was Brian Allen, but number 81 is Austin Corbett. It'll be interesting to see what the market is for Austin Corbett as guards are beginning to sign. and Saffold, Lakin Tomlinson had just signed with the Giants, I believe, and so it'll be interesting to see what's up with Corbett. If the Rams could return that offensive line intact for another year, that would be the cohesion of it all. Would be that's not something that happens all the time in the NFL. I was going to mention centers on the market: Bradley Bozeman, the Ravens, Ben Jones, the Titans. They're free agents. But it doesn't matter anymore because the Rams signed Brian Allen. I was going to mention the Giants, Vikings, Cardinals, Titans, Falcons, 49ers, who signed Alex Mack last year, but Mack's got a lot of mileage on him, 13, 14 seasons in the NFL. They would all be in the market for tight ends, okay? The argument this morning was that if Joseph Noteboom wasn't re-signed, keep an eye on Alaric Jackson. There's a real undercurrent and a soft buzz building about the Rams free agent out of Iowa. He's 6'6", 315. He played in 2 games this year, 52 snaps in the Minnesota game, and he graded well as a run blocker. He needs some help in pass protection, but the word is he works hard. Coaches like him, but he's willing to be coached, but he has technical flaws. But he is somebody that is another one of those guys, a free agent fine, wasn't drafted last year, and the Rams brought him in. And they're developing him, and he might be a name to keep an eye on, maybe as a right tackle when the bill comes due for Rob Havenstein, if indeed it does come due. I don't know if Jackson can convert to guard. He's an Iowa kid, so maybe he can convert to guard as well. And we can see him either on either side of either David Edwards or Austin Corbett, depending on what takes place. But that's a name that did come up that I wanted to talk about today, is keep an eye on Alaric Jackson. Finally, as we hit the 16-minute mark, Senior Bowl is something always interesting to keep an eye on for the Rams. If I throw these names out at you, one of them would be Alaric Jackson, but he only played a couple games this year, but names like Ben Skoranek, Robert Rochelle, Bryson Hopkins, Van Jefferson, Greg Gaines, David Long, Ogbo Okoronkwo, Austin Corbett, Joseph Noteboom, Cooper Kupp, John Johnson, Gerald Everett, Josh Reynolds. All these guys became starters for the Rams. Some of them have moved on, but they became starters or contributors to the Rams, and they were all Senior Bowl participants. Also, Terrell Burgess, Terrell Lewis, Tremaine Ingram, Jameel Demby, Tanzel Smart, Sam Rogers. Sam Rogers was cut, Tanzel Smart moved on, but they were all part of the Senior Bowl. And so what you want to do maybe to get a little more better glimpse into what the Rams are going to do in the draft is look at the draft board that we compile and put on from the Ram Cave. It's just the names that are being bandied about by different mock draft and draft gurus. It's nothing from us. It's just a compilation of names, okay? And take some of those names that we've heard over and over again. Cole Strange, Matt Waletzko. We've heard these names. Dylan Parham. Look at the Senior Bowl roster from 2022, just recently played, and look at the names on the Senior Bowl roster and see how many of them match what's on the Rams board. Names that I've mentioned: Tyler Beatty, a running back from Missouri; Bo Melton out of Rutgers; Waletzko out of North Dakota; Cole Strange, Chattanooga; Dominique Robinson, edge guy out of Miami, Ohio; Sterling Weatherford, kind of a hybrid strong safety linebacker out of Miami, Ohio. We talked about Kobe Bryant, Jamari Slayer, an offensive lineman. I think he's a tackle from Georgia. Max Mitchell is another name. Dylan Parham, Braxton Jones, Luke Fortner, Michael Clemens, Jermaine Johnson. All these names have popped up as potential. They're on the draft boards. That names are being thrown out in the mock draft. The Rams would be interested in offensive linemen, edge performers. And so if you want to get a grip on a clue, take a look at those names. I'll post them probably later today on my website or tomorrow at the bottom of FanView. I did not do FanView today because we decided to go with college basketball, college hoops breakdown from Riley Saxon. That's posted on our website right now. We wanted to give that the full deal, and I'll write FanView tomorrow. But I'll post some of these names there that are on the Rams draft board that we've seen mentioned by the draft gurus, but also played at the Senior Bowl. And what that means is that just gives you a better inkling of who the Rams are eyeing, and not just who they're eyeing, but what positions they're eyeing. And so I think that's about it. I got this in. I'm so happy I got this in. Yeah, my name is Joe Terozzi, and I was a sports writer for 20 years. I still kind of am. I was a sports editor at Mid-Valley Sports, and we covered everything from everything to everything, but mostly it was 95% football. I've been writing books the last couple of years. My latest book is Sin Virus. This is an explicitly Christian novel, not sports related, but this is Tangent Dreams, high school football novel. I also have another book that I wrote called Temple City and the Company of the Ages. These can be seen on my website or at Amazon. And this is the kind of stuff that I do to make a living. I'm not a Patreon guy. I don't know if I ever will be a Patreon guy. But every time you like and subscribe, we just want to say thank you. I'm also a pastor from a church in Burbank, and that's what I do. And I've been a Ram fan since John Hadle threw 4 touchdown passes to Harold Jackson in the first half against the Cowboys on October 14th, 1973. Actually, I was a Ram fan before that. I became a diehard Ram fan on that day. All right, folks, thank you so much for clicking on and clicking on later. Please, again, hit like and subscribe as we talk Ram football. And hopefully we'll get on tomorrow before the script changes, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more about what the Rams are doing. Anxious to see what's going to happen with Austin Corbett. Okay, folks, thanks a lot. Take care, and hit like, subscribe. God bless.